The Beatles and the Rolling Stones will be compared to each other until the planet Earth is destroyed, and any extraterrestrial life will have no chance of knowing that rock and roll ever existed. Mick Jagger's girlfriend disclosed his thoughts on the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. There was also plenty John Lennon had to say about the Rolling Stones. In the 1960s, Jagger's muse and girlfriend was Marianne Faithfull. Her most well-known song is As Tears Go By, a solo ballad that Jagger and Keith Richards co-wrote. Jagger's response to a few Beatles songs was described by Faithfull in her 2008 book, Memories, Dreams, and Reflections. On rare occasions, Mick could criticize the Beatles for their provincialism, which makes sense if you're from London and they're from Liverpool, the source stated. But he wouldn't stop listening to their music. Well, he may respond, "Now that is a bit silly," in reference to Yellow Submarine, or those wacky Beatles tunes. I still love it, but I never thought that. Additionally, there is a song called With a Little Help from My Friends, although it is clear that the Stones would not be into these kinds of things. We Love You is a whimsical, psychedelic tune by the Rolling Stones. That Beatles-esque tune is terrible, and people quickly forgot about it. It lacks the youthful appeal of Yellow Submarine, even if it is as ridiculous. Faithfull shared her personal opinions about the Fab Four after recording a well-known rendition of the Beatles, Yesterday. In any case, she added, the Beatles aren't all sweetness and light when you listen to them carefully, and the John Lennon stuff in particular. Their music has a raw quality to it. There's a damp, shady, and unclean part that comes through. She went on, their sweetness is very superficial. You can hear the undercurrent in the call and response material, in John's harmonies, and in Paul's bass playing. It is true that the Beatles issued gloomy songs like A Day in the Life, Your Blues, or I Want You, She's So Heavy, for every upbeat song like Yellow Submarine, I Want to Hold Your Hand, or Can't Buy Me Love. An interview from 1980 can be found in the book All We Are Saying, the last major interview with John Lennon and Yoko Ono. The vocalist of Imagine made a prediction in it that the Rolling Stones and the late Beatles will eventually become historical artifacts. He made a jest that the band would last for a very long time. The Power to the People movement did not believe that the Rolling Stones would have a good 1980s. The previous forecast was incorrect. The Rolling Stones had a tremendous decade in the 1980s. Several of their greatest and most well-known songs, like Start Me Up, were released during that decade. The Rolling Stones officially joined the ranks of rock legends in the 1980s when they were elected into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Even though they weren't always kind to each other, the Rolling Stones and the Beatles both conquered the world.